The two men and their positions are well known. Don Blankenship is the CEO of Massey Energy, Central Appalachia's largest coal producer. He's often said he believes climate change is a Ponzi scheme and that mountaintop removal is necessary for coal mining.
I think the mission statement for coal is prosperity for this country and security. And to do that, we have to produce a lot of energy in this country, and we have to do it at a low cost, and we have to do it with the environment in mind, and we have to manage the resources we have to get the optimum use out of them. So all those things together, I think, fit into what energy policy in this country should all be about.
Robert Kennedy Jr. is an environmental attorney and the president of the Waterkeeper Alliance. He spent years fighting mountaintop removal, which he believes irreversibly pollutes the environment and impoverishes Appalachia. Although he's not from West Virginia, he says his ties to the state go back to his uncle's presidency.
My family has a strong connection with this state. We were brought up understanding that John Kennedy would not have been president of the United States if it weren't for West Virginia. He launched his 1960 campaign in this auditorium in the state of West Virginia. And he spent time all over the state with my father, with my mother, with other members of our family, getting to know the people of West Virginia before his presidency and after his presidency. My father spent much time here across Appalachia. They love the people of West Virginia. They got a very close feeling, established a very close bond with them. But one of the things that my father always openly wondered about was how was it that this state, which had the richest natural resource perhaps of any state in the country, also had its poorest people, 49th in terms of the wealth of its people. And he understood the answer to that, which was an historical answer that in the 1890s to 1910, con men from out of this state came into southern West Virginia and swindled landowners across the state from the coal under their property, so that today 90% or more of the coal in West Virginia is owned by out-of-state interests, and those interests have been liquidating this state for cash.
The only thing I can tell you is that the health and longevity, life expectancy in this country is very good compared to the rest of the world. It's very good compared to the parts of the world that don't have electricity or energy. Life expectancy in Angola is about 39 years. They're not too concerned about global warming in 2020, 2050, or 2100. The health and well-being of people greatly depends on the quality of life that they're able to have. That quality of life is greatly dependent on electricity, affordable electricity. Affordable electricity in this world is greatly dependent on coal. There's no country that mines coal more safely and more environmentally soundly or consciously than this country does, and no company within this country that does better at that than Massey. Again, when you criticize what we do as an industry, Massey or the coal industry, you're criticizing the people that are teaching your Sunday schools, that are coaching your Little League, the people that are in the communities of West Virginia. And to characterize those people as evil and wanting to destroy their own environment makes no sense at all.
But Blankenship wasn't the only one who tried to make mountaintop removal a personal issue for the audience.
You have to look at the entire environment, not just the fishes and the birds, but you look at the way that people are living in this state. The Hendricks study shows that the closer you live to a coal mine, the sicker you are, that the morbidity and mortality in this state, if you live near one of those mines, whether you're a man, a woman, or children, you have a whole range of illnesses that you're now subjected to. I know people in this part of the room, a woman, Judy Bonds, a little boy lives in Marsh Fork who goes to sleep every night with his clothes on because he's terrified that that 920-foot berm that's right above his house, filled with 8 billion gallons of toxic slurry, are going to collapse on him the way that the Massey's Martin County slurry pond collapsed, something that Don said could never happen, and then afterwards said was an act of God.
Both men focused on China's increasing importance in the energy sector. Blankenship argued that the death of the U.S. coal industry would mean the country would be importing coal from China.
We're in a situation where we compete in the world, and we're trying to, if you will, have totally open markets. It's going to be very difficult for this country to compete with the labor standards it has, with the environmental standards it has, and so forth, let alone with the energy costs that would come with windmills and solar panels. We've already lost, as people in this room know, Century Aluminum. We've lost nearly every aluminum plant. We lose our chemical plants because we try to use natural gas to make electricity, which is an entirely inappropriate use for natural gas because it should be used in bakeries and industrial processes, and the cost should be kept low. If we follow many of the policies that the environmentalists want us to follow, we're going to cause our homes to be as dependent on foreign energy as we've caused our cars to be.
But Kennedy argued that China is pulling ahead in green technology too, and wind and solar power is America's real energy future.
I'm on a board of a company called BrightSource, which is building the biggest solar thermal plant in the world, 2.7 gigawatts, the biggest power plant in America. We're building it in California, and we're building it at the same cost per gigawatt you could build a coal plant, about $3 billion a gigawatt. Well, once we build that plant, it's free energy forever. Once you build the coal plant, now you got to go cut down the Appalachian Mountains and ship them across the country in coal cars, warp every train track in this country so we can't have high-speed rail, build the roads, the coal haul roads so thick in West Virginia at taxpayer expense that it's costing this state $200 million a year to build and maintain them, another subsidy to coal. Then you got to burn this stuff, poison every river and lake in America, kill 60,000 Americans with ozone and particulates, cause 1 million asthma attacks a year, sterilize all the lakes in the Adirondacks. These are the true costs of coal.
Looking at the issue
Towards the end of the debate, the men broached the subject of climate change.
The real issue is not whether the climate's getting warmer or cooler, because that happens all the time. The issue is whether it's man-made global warming, which is clearly not. The next issue would be, is it American-made global warming, which is clearly not. And the next issue is, if Americans quit burning coal and parked all their cars and sat in the cold, would the temperature of the earth change? And I can tell you it would not, because the Chinese and the Asians would replace the carbon emissions in a matter of a few months.
I don't agree with you that there is any doubt about the consensus. There is a consensus. 98% of the research climatologists in the world say that global warming is real, that it's caused by us, that it's happening now, that its impacts are going to be catastrophic. There are 2% who disagree with that. Some of them, though not all, are paid for by Exxon and the carbon cronies. Some of them have other reasons for saying that, and maybe they believe it. But I have a choice of believing the 98% or the 2%. If you believe my 98% and we go ahead and try to reduce our carbon, we've gotten rid of a dirty fuel, we've made ourselves energy independent, we've improved our national security, we've improved prosperity and quality of life and health for American citizens. If we believe Mr. Blankenship and his 2% and they're wrong, the whole of civilization is destroyed.
I don't think we found a lot of common ground yet.
Though Dr. Ed Welch, president of the University of Charleston, moderated the debate, at times Kennedy and Blankenship addressed each other directly, and a conversation began to emerge.
My question to you, and I know you're an honest person, and 2 trial attorneys said to me, one thing about Don Blankenship, he's an honest man. Yeah. 2 people who had deposed you. They said one thing about him, he's the most honest CEO in America when it comes to answering questions about his company. I want to ask you this question. Is it possible to do mountaintop removal mining without violating the law?
I doubt that it's possible without having a single violation at a single time, but if anybody can do it, this industry in West Virginia can do it.
The 2 men didn't find any common ground on mountaintop removal or climate change, but they did agree on at least 2 things.
It sounds as if we have some agreement on the fact that the world has to be part of the solution, not just the United States, and that we have to have a competitive industry if we're going to compete in a free world.
Well, I agree with a lot of Don's rhetoric. But I think there's a big gap between his rhetoric and what I see happening on the ground in these communities. The 2 places I think that I know that I believe we agree is, one, on free trade. I think we both oppose it. And second, I think we both think that carbon sequestration, geological carbon sequestration, is a joke.
Wow. I appreciate that. He's right about one thing. It's true.
For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Erica Peterson.